We're breaking format right here.
Yeah.
We've been doing that a lot lately, but so has everybody else.
He's worth it. There's a few people in my life. I don't really like humans in general. I really don't like most humans, and that's why I hang out by myself in video games. But I think there's 2 humans on planet Earth that when I've never been in a bad mood around. One is the legendary David Jack. And 2 is our guest today, Jeremy Scott, a.k.a. Captain America. If Superman, Captain America, and Ray Allen, Richard Hamilton all had a baby, he'd be right here in front of you, ladies and gentlemen. He's got the meanest baseline jumper. He's got shoulders that don't fit through a door frame. He's one of the most positive humans I've ever been around, and in like a genuine way. There's so much garbage running around the internet and the world. But you, Jay Scott, well, you always put me in a good mood, buddy. We've had I think we got delayed in an airport together. We've had a couple trips in Palm Springs, Boston. Sadly, I haven't seen you in years, and that's why this is mostly a selfish excuse to get you here on the podcast to chat with us. I don't even know what we're going to chat about. I want to dig into your brain a little bit about how you stay positive, especially during really crappy times like this. But go ahead, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell people more than just your shoulders and your baseline jumper.
Well, yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. It sounds super important now.
You are.
And I attribute that to David Jack too. I tip my hat. Again, we would call him like fitness Jesus, if you will.
He is. He's the most important and special fitness dude that doesn't like care about Instagram and stuff.
And yeah. Omar is like fitness Aladdin.
Omar is the fitness Aladdin.
I try to tell people like about DJ. I'm like, he's the most important person that nobody knows.
He is.
In all reality. I've been around everybody. I've gotten to meet a lot of people, like from the Tony Robbins of the world to the ETs and the speakers, and David Jack is like right in that same upper echelon. He just doesn't. He's the only dude I ever met who wants everybody else to get more shine than him, and like authentically. And it's crazy to see.
Yeah, we need to get that guy. Like, I know he's been on TV here and there, but like he needs his own. Like he's the Caucasian Oprah Winfrey. We need to get him his own like TV show.
I'll try to get him to do something here sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, me, I'm a fitness dude, I guess, by nature. Long story short, I played sports my entire life, basketball all the way through college. I sucked at everything else, like in terms of like skills. And I went to fitness, because I was the normal unhealthy athlete, drinking 20 beers a night, headbutting walls, pee your pants, all that stupid shit. And
why were you headbutting walls? Are you angry? Why are you headbutting walls?
You're just like, you're 19, your testosterone's at like probably like 1,300, you're 10 beers in, you're just doing dumb shit.
Seeing how hard your skull is, or how hard your skull is. Yeah. All right. Fair.
So, it took me basically getting sick to understand, like, oh, wow, if you change the way that you eat and sleep and treat your body, things can roll the right way. And, that's the kind of the evolution of how this business started as just like I was the dude who, I would do the photo shoots for Muscle and Fitness and all this stuff because I look the part. But I started to take it real serious once I understood like the health ramifications of this. And slowly but surely, we built this from I was just a dude. I had one real job ever. I was an academic advisor, and I would train people before work and after work. And then just one day with no clients and no money and no resources, I just quit and opened up like a fitness business in a warehouse. And long story short, you cut ahead today, the building I'm sitting in, we own it and we bought it. We've been closed for 50 some days because of this coronavirus bullshit. But that, and we have a huge online business and presence. I've been an advisor for Men's Health. Mike and I was with Reebok even before like Instagram and those things existed. So from our blog and the things we've done. So I've been around the fitness game for quite a while. And it all comes from, it started for me was just helping people in our local circle. And then obviously with YouTube and all this shit, we get to have these platforms and here I am.
You again, I think you're a diverse human. I do think you are good at a lot of things despite what you talk about yourself. And I think that you're a little bit like me. I'd like to think, and maybe it comes from basketball or not. you know, the saying like next shot or short-term memory or whatever it might be, next play. But like you have an online business, you have an in-person business, obviously the in-person stuff and online during this time. You know, like we're fitness dudes, you know, whatever the hell it is we do. I just more in like a barbell sense, and you're a little bit more well-rounded than my piece of shit meathead. But like people can't work out, right? So like how am I going to help people work out when they can't work out?
Right.
You're versatile. You've done a little bodybuilding. You've done a little powerlifting. You do a lot of like boot camp style training, home training stuff too. But to the basketball mentality, like this sucks, and I don't think anyone's stoked about what's going on. But I'm already like, I try to forget yesterday. I'm bad at it, but I'm trying to forget yesterday. I'm trying to forget right now. And me and Jim, you know, we had a meeting before this. We're looking to 6 months in the future. How do you like stay positive, personally or even business wise during a mess like this? Because I think something that I've realized during this time is how many there's a lot of small business owners, and there's a lot of people that, you know, really fend for themselves. I used to think I was so unique. I'm like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but it's not that unique anymore. Like a lot of people are doing their own thing, and they're getting crushed right now, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. It really is. I try to, you know, compartmentalize it, you know, the best I can. If you take basketball terms, we would always say, you know, shoot to get hot, shoot to stay hot, right? So even if you miss the first 20 shots, you know, you got to have the confidence 21's going to go in. That's kind of that short-term memory. Although getting through this, watching the last Dance series with the Bulls has been helping for sure.
Yeah. Don't no spoilers. I've been delaying it a little bit.
I watched 1 and 2. I watched 1 and 2.
Amazing.
Yeah, 1 and 2 were really good, and 3 and 4 came out last night. I think I'll probably watch them tonight. I got my J's on right now, dude. I got J3s on right now in honor.
But I mean, you know, we do it. For me, I go from like the outside in, right? So I'm gonna be fine no matter what. Like my wife and I, you know, again, I shared the story on our podcast the other day. Like the day we closed down our gym. Now I've owned this for over a decade, and we've never closed down for a day. I chose to close it like a week before the mandate. I'm like, okay, we'll move them to our online stuff. We'll kind of weather the storm that way. So I closed this down, and I know how much money we lose every day, and it's a shit ton of not being here. Even though our online business, we could just do that and it'd be fine. When you're used to making X and now it's Y, it does piss you off. So that Monday I close it. My wife works for corporate Marriott, by the way. On that Tuesday, she's getting furloughed on the phone call, and as she's getting furloughed, like, the guy is at my house doing our AC and like plumbing stuff. He's like, oh yeah, your hot water heater shit. So it's like, I close down my gym. My wife gets furloughed the same day, and this guy's like, here's a bill for $2,000. And that sucks shit. But it's a luxury problem when I look at like the scope of everything and everybody else, of like the people who the health is impacted by them, or the people where their business is hanging on by, you know, the weekly paychecks. And so perspective is a real thing. Like, yeah, this sucks. I'm not going to get to take the trip I wanted to take. I can't go to the Twins game in 2 weeks and have a beer with my best friend. I go, but I'm healthy. My wife is healthy. We're safe. We can weather the storm as bad as it is. And luckily, we make enough money where I can still pay the people who work for us so they don't have to go homeless and eat. So I always take it from a broader scope. Like when you look at the world of the 8 billion people, and we all threw our shit in the middle, and you could see what everybody else is chewing on, you'd probably sprint back in and grab your shit pretty quick because you're like, wow, my problems do suck, but not compared to Cindy and Rick and Judy. And that's probably the only time where comparison will give you a legit like gratitude standpoint.
It's so hard because I do that too, you know, like we all get pissed off at whatever it might be. I got a flat tire a month ago in the middle of this mess, let alone, well, it wasn't a flat tire. My rim shattered somehow.
Oh, my
God. I'm like, all right, yeah, same idea, like bills, and you're sitting and my whole life, I've always, you know, I grew up middle class. Dad worked really hard, always had food, always had a roof. And they tell you that. My dad said, you know, there's kids fucking struggling. My dad grew up probably lower middle class in Cleveland, Ohio. 7 siblings. Only dad worked. Like he's been through a little of it. My mom grew up on a ranch in Argentina, a little different. And they tell you these things, but you're just a kid and you shrug it off. And I tell myself that, like, man, yeah, people got it worse than me, and people got it worse than me. And you can say that and like shrug through it, but I like the first time I felt it is like this. You know, we got the 2 roomies in here, 2 dudes live with me. And we're sitting around, we're playing video games all day long, streaming on Twitch, trying to entertain some people. And I'm just looking around like, man, I got a roof. You know, like, okay, worst case, can't make my mortgage. Bank is going to try to take it from me. They're not going to literally kick me out. Like something, I'll figure out a way. I'm going to find a way. I got a roof over my head. There's some really bad shit going on in the world.
Yeah, we were supposed to be in New Mexico right now. Right,
not quite the vacation spot.
Well, yeah, no, we were. There's plenty to do.
All right.
There's plenty to do in New Mexico.
Aliens.
Yeah, exactly. And Area 51, and no, that's Nevada. Anyway, Roswell. Yeah. No, but it's a bummer because I don't know when we're gonna ever take any kind of trip again. Like, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's me and Jim been talking to a lot of people about the future of the gym, of training and fitness, and every equipment sales is sold out online because people are buying equipment to build their home gym, which is good. Do you worry about that with your future, or you think, I don't know, man. It's so unprecedented what the hell's going on right now. We just unplugged our whole world and economy. And then it seems like whatever government officials are just going to try to stick it back together in June and pray everything happens again. Like, are you making plans, or are you literally just trying to chill, relax, worry about yourself for now?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're literally probably working just as much. The hours are shifted a little bit because we don't train the same athletes at the same times and do those things. I mean, I'm a part of a lot of these little fitness groups, and so I get to peek behind the curtain at what some of the smaller guys do and some of the bigger guys are trying to do too. My opinion across the board is, if you're a home gym person, you probably are. That's not how I like to train. So I wouldn't go out buy a bunch of shit to put in my garage, because I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. There's nice to have a couple of tools. I think it's great. There is going to be people who will probably never come in, who weren't probably going to before anyway. Some people will be spooked by it. The PTSD of this, I think, is going to affect everything across the board, not just gyms in general. Like restaurants, those things for sure. And then we have clients now who they would come in here today. They don't give a shit. Like, they might be 60 and they're going to come in. We look at it like probably in steps. Some people will be hesitant, but again, the people who want to die hard and come in, they'll do it. So we're planning, whenever they give us the guidelines, we'll go off of what our community chooses to do. And so we kind of set up the facility. We had the most, like, imagine like Breaking Bad, where this whole crew come in and they cleaned every inch of it. He's a client of ours. This is what they do. It's like sewage mitigation, flood, all that stuff. So it's like they do. I mean, literally, I couldn't be in here for 2 days. I mean, that's how gangster it was. But with that said, like, we'll set up the normal stations if you want to do hand sanitizer and whatever, and we'll kind of cohort the groups as we can. But at the end of the day, like, we're going to go back to live normal life. You're telling me you're not going to go to a football game again?
Yeah.
You're never going to get on a fucking airplane? Like, we're just going to stop because of, again, I don't know. I'm not a physician, so I can't speak on it. I'm not saying it isn't bad, but we can't unplug the world either, because the economic impact is going to be pretty substantial if you can't get a hotel, you can't do all these other things we used to do. Like a restaurant, like, we can operate at 50%. Right, like, honestly, for me personally, we could close this bitch down, and I could just use it like Alexia does and just film content here.
Yeah.
And nobody trains here. I could make that happen. Now, my team would have to be let go. I can't pay them what I pay them to do nothing. So I would be cool. But a restaurant can't operate at 50% capacity. Like, their margins are too thin.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to either get comfortable with it, or something is going to have to shift. And I think people do want to be out. If you look, like, maybe it was like yesterday, like Wisconsin or something, they were like doing the protest, which I'm not a fan of that, but they had like 10,000 fucking people outside, like, just going crazy. And I'm like, well, I guess they've about had it. And I think there's a good percentage of Americans that are moving towards, hey, let the chips fall.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think that because we just don't know very much at all. It could possibly be that some of these sites, some of these venues, like gyms or whatever, are not the greatest place to communicate the virus. It seems like a lot of them have been people in either other kinds of workplace situations or home. Like, a lot of it, the spread in China was like people who lived together,
or even here. I mean, who knows? Again, I
like
watched the news.
Here.
Yeah, I was gonna say nursing homes and elderly homes here sound like the worst. But I mean, I watched the news for the first 2 weeks. I got real interested, and then I got real dark. I was like, all right, I'm probably just not gonna watch the news no more.
Yeah.
I'll wait till they announce and things are cool. Talk about PTSD or whatever. I went and rented a U-Haul so I could get a spin bike from my mom's house into my house last week, because I'm lazy, Jay Scott. If there's not a barbell or a basketball around, I'm not doing shit. And so I've just been eating pizza for a month. So I'm like, all right, dude, I should probably do something. I'm supposedly a fitness coach. So I went and got this spin bike, put it in my mom's house, in my room, got it from my mom's house, and I've been riding, just smashing in the mornings. because of not only what's going on, but the truth is commercial gyms are really nasty. Like there's a million people going in and out of them. They're all gross humans compared to like a gym like yours or even like a strength and conditioning gym that we go to. The type of people that come in and out like respect the space. It's more of a community than if you're going to a huge commercial gym and people are probably picking their nose and rubbing it on machines for all I know. Point being, and this stuff. So I'm in my room. It's the bike's in my room. My roommates don't see it. No one uses it. And even if I got their cooties anyways. But beside the point, I rode the bike and then I go and sit at my desk and I'm looking at my hands and I feel like my hands are dirty. I'm like, no one's used the spin bike. It's my personal spin bike. But because everyone's so nasty in this world, for some reason I feel like I'm really gross right now.
Yeah. Do you find yourself washing your hands at home when you're just at home? And
I didn't, but I wanted to. I had like an urge. I'm like, fuck, am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the rubber equipment or.
I've done that. I know what you're talking about.
What's your personal fitness look like right now? Again, like you're a versatile dude, but your background's a little bit more, strength and conditioning, basketball, bodybuilding. I mean, obviously you have your facilities so you can get down a little bit, but what are you doing and what are you maybe suggesting for some of your folks that are stuck at home?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm here right now, so it's like I still have all the tools. Like I have 30 yards of turf. I have all the barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, every machine possible. So for me, it's kind of cool. Like I can do what I want. Even when I say that though, it's like the mental part of this, right? Like where if we usually do sometimes these terrible metcons. If you think like, no offense to CrossFit, like the safest way to do like a metabolic conditioning circuit, like we'll do it with our advanced people here and I actually will train with them. And I can do that like once in a while, but I don't hate myself enough to do it solo a lot. So you're missing that community part of it. Even me, I'm an introvert. I'm a robot. Like I can do 90% of my shit by myself. I do miss that aspect of it. So my workouts are pretty similar. The only difference is my brain will wander now more than it ever has. But most of the time, like I don't care about anything. Like I just train, I go, we make money, we help people. It's super cool. And now I'll just be like, okay, well, what are we going to do for this? And I'll think about things like these alternate scenarios that are probably never going to happen, but you're kind of forecasting this uncertain future, which is super fucking annoying when you're trying to do, pull-ups or push a sled or whatever. But for our people, we put them into a program and we have another one kicking off in like 10 days where it's either body weight based or all dumbbell based. And then again, I think a lot of people and I grew up in the bodybuilding world of like, squat, deadlift, vertical press, horizontal press, all that shit. And I love that stuff. But for the average person who's not skilled, they don't need to use a barbell. They don't have the base for it, right? So we build everything body weight and dumbbell based because they are stuck at home. And we just coach them a lot how to deal with not just load, because I think a lot of people think load is the variable. If I can't go heavier, I'm screwed. I can't make gains. No, but the speed and the tempo and the cadence you use in the lifts and the range of motions, like you guys can do a lot of damage. So we try to program everything around that and even stuff like that we put on Instagram to be very consumable for almost anybody, whether they have dumbbells or bands or bricks or whatever the hell they have to use for loading.
I've seen a lot of concrete weights on Instagram lately.
Yeah, people are getting too creative. Like that's where I kind of agree with Jay Scott. Like, and I love a barbell. Like I'm a barbell guy, but I'd rather do a couple sets of push-ups than try to squat my refrigerator or something. What are these crazy ass people? Just chill out and do some. Yeah, you can do. You start doing some one-legged stuff. I squatted over 500 pounds, but you give me to do like a tempo set of one-leg Bulgarians, I'm dead. Like that shit's really hard.
Well, that's why I always say like strength, and I share the story on the podcast. I've probably said it 10 times in the 400 episodes. We were at Reebok headquarters, you and I, and like lifting in between one of the groups we're going to, whatever. And it's like deadlifting. And I think it was maybe like 515 or something like that for triples. And you do 3 and I do 3. And you're like, okay, what's next? And I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. And you're like, well, you're going to keep going up. And I'm like, I can go up. I go, but something bad's going to happen. like either my bicep is going to go up into my armpit or like my hamstring's going to go into my ass, like something not good. And then I also share the same story. I go, and he's super strong. So if you're talking like absolute strength, pound per pound for like those reps, like Mike is stronger than me. But we also did a workout the next day where it was like, how many air squats can you do in a minute? And you look at me and you go, what the fuck is an air squat?
Bro, I think I was teamed up with Widerstrom, and she's like staring me in the eye like a tiger's looking at elk. And I've never done an air squat in my life.
So I'm like, it's relative, right? So I always say like, I can't, you're going to back squat me for sure. I'm like, but I can do walking lunges for an hour. So it's like, it's just different modalities. And I think sometimes you do the best with what you got, where if you're just used to only barbell loading and you don't have access to it, you might not make amazing progress, but I tell someone, like, if you can do, 25 Bulgarian split squats on each leg with tempo, like, you can probably back squat a decent amount. And if the goal is just to, look and move and feel a certain way, you can do that with a barbell or without.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Are you advising your online folks to cut back on their calories if they're not as active right now? And how hard is that?
Like, we tell them, we in the program they're in now, like, we actually, we give them a macro guide, they track it. We have our coaches check in on them. Some people track it, some people not so much. I kind of look at this season, and again, everybody's gonna have a different opinion. You can look at it like, well, I'm going to come into it, I'm going to be the best I've ever been. I think it's hard to do with the stress. So I kind of treat this like the end of the year, that time between Thanksgiving and New Year's, where it's like you might not make the most progress, but you don't got to tank it like everybody else does.
Yeah.
So we tell them, don't drink booze like every day, or if you like a glass.
At least wait till
noon.
Noon before you crack it.
So it's hard, man. Like, I tell them, like, you just be as active as you can, and if you're gonna eat and drink shit, just be mindful of it and try to not do it, every time you have an emotional trigger. Otherwise, like, we'd be shit faced all day long. So it's tough to do, especially if they have kids and they're at home. I have empathy for them. Like, I don't know how I would chew on that. So we do the best we can to kind of mitigate any damage they're going to do.
It's so crazy because everyone's like, just like you talked about. I have that issue 24/7 regardless. Like worrying, overthinking, anxiety. Like, I've dealt with that forever, and so regardless of what I do, that's why I like the podcast. Honestly, podcasts, basketball, things where I can kind of get into some state of flow is the only time I'm not worrying or having anxiety. But I'm like you too, where you're going to a gym, and I'm not much of the community guy either. I don't really like humans, but at least you can people watch in between sets or something. There's something to do. I like being around. I don't like people, but sometimes I like being around people. But now every single human is just locked in their house. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the amount of, some people move so fast. This might sound like I'm a dick, and I am. Some people move so fast in their life, and I tend to be this guy. You start to go to like kind of workaholism, and you compartmentalize like that. You just don't really think about all the issues because you're working all the time, right? I imagine Jay Scott's there. I don't want to diagnose my buddy here, but you just 100%. We're moving at 100 miles per hour, so we don't think negative because we don't have time. We don't think about people. I don't compare myself that much because I'm just doing my own shit. Then I think the other half of the world, or maybe more like 80% of the world, are just so stupid. They don't look inside themselves, and people aren't self-aware because of that, And I'm big on self-awareness and just looking about yourself or how you treat people or your interactions. But now I think every single human is stuck thinking about how they treat, how they set up their life. And I think even my mom, I hate to give her credit, but she's a really smart lady. I think she was talking. She's like,
that's a thing to say.
Yeah, she's a smart lady. And she was saying, she's like, Michael, what I'm worried about is how many people are going to realize how much they hate their jobs and just aren't going back.
Well,
I was like, I think you're right, Mom. Like, because people are stuck on this hamster wheel. Yeah. And again, I call them stupid. You can call them whatever they want. And she's like, I don't think people are going back to work. I think because the rest of the world has a system set up. They're taking siestas at 2:00 in the afternoon. They're working like 20-hour weeks. They're still finding a way to make a living, right? Their economy works somehow. I dropped out of college. I don't know how all that works, but people are making it happen. But Americans in particular are workaholics. I think a lot of them are just blinders on, and you go to college, you go right to the 9 to 5, you work overtime to make a little bit more money, you go on one vacation a year, you buy your kids a Tonka truck on Christmas, and then they just repeat that for 20 years.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of people are going to get forced just economically back into whatever they were doing before so that they can like continue to eat. But at the same time, I get what you mean, that the dissatisfaction with the way that things have gone in the past, and you realize once you take the foot off of the gas on that, you start to feel differently. I swear to God, for in my 20s and early 30s, like every time I went on vacation, when I came back, I was absolutely ready to quit my job. Yeah, I didn't always, but I did more than once. Yeah, where I just like quit, but like, okay, I need to look for something else because I realize I am so much happier when I'm not in that structure. I'm not dealing with those people or the work sucks or it's not particularly not appreciated. I think that's maybe the worst of it.
Yeah. Heavy J. Scott.
On that note, we're all leaving. This is it.
Heavy
It's all over.
J. Scott.
No, I mean, like for us, like I like what I do. So it's like, for me, it sucks. I can't do it at the scale I want to do it. And I guess we're always growing, right? And I guess that's America. Like, and again, I've been all over the world. Like we've been to, Greece and Italy and Spain and you name it. And there is a lot of things they do different than us that I think we could learn from if we could all have a system that runs the same. Like when you go to like Barcelona, right? Or you go to down the Amalfi Coast in Italy, nobody has a 3-car garage.
Yeah.
Nobody has a Suburban. They don't have 4 cars. Like they don't have a 4,000 square foot house, and they seem happy as shit. And again, it's not as competitive there. It's a different ecosystem, but there's things we can learn from that. So maybe for some people, if they're lucky enough to say, you know what, my job sucks, I hate it, I don't need to live in a 5,000 square foot house. I can downsize, the stuff to, upsize the happiness would be a cool thing if people could snap out of it. The problem is I fear the percentage of people who are going to snap out of it is probably pretty small.
Because you agree that 80% of the world's stupid with me. That's what you agree with.
I just think like you're taught something, right? Like here's the system. Like you go to school, you get in debt for school, you get in debt for a car, you get in debt for a house, you work. This is the stuff that matters. But like, if it's not making you happy, then why the fuck are we doing it? Because like, to me, success is, are you happy every day? I'm the first guy to tell you, like, when I moved here, I didn't have enough money to buy a song on iTunes, and I have more money today than I ever thought I had in my life. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm any happier. I'm more fulfilled because I like what I do. But I was happy when I was broke. I just was broke, and I'm happy now too. Like that's a mindset. I think like, oh, if I drive this car or have this house, like you can get enjoyment from those things, but not like this internal happiness. Because if you're doing a shit task for 65% of your life, which is basically what you work, like you're punting that much of your life for a bunch of shit. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and like you said, like I think it goes back to people, whether you want to call them workaholics or people that just always have their foot on the gas. Like if you always have your foot on the gas, then yes, my Rolex makes me happy like right now. Like yes, my Ferrari makes me happy like right now. But if you shut all that down, like we're all shut down right now, now you're thinking about it like, yeah, this Rolex tells the same amount of time as my Timex. My Timex I got on eBay for $10, retro. But and like you said, I don't know if people have the courage to quit their job or courage to even explore what may make them feel fulfilled, because that goes back to the basketball thing. Bro, how many people did you play with? So many people were better than me at basketball, but they were just scared. They were dumb or scared. Like if you miss 20 in a row and the kids are like, I'm gonna pass this one up, like little Jimmy's gonna make it, I can't make this shot anymore, like I'm not. But if you just start letting them go, something's gonna fall. And that's the same with business. I was talking to my therapist, I might have shared this on our podcast too a while ago, and I was talking about my businesses, and I just casually said it because it's so in my head about how much money I lost on this one project. I was like, yeah, I lost, it was a lot of money. And she kind of, therapists are just kind of listening sometimes. And then she kind of like woke up. She's like, that's a lot of money, Mike. I was like, yeah, I didn't really think about it. Like, yeah, I lost a lot of money doing that. And she's like, you're kind of courageous for that. I was like, yeah, I didn't really think about it. I don't really want to think about it again. You just go on to the, next shot, next play, next shot, next play. Like that one didn't work out exactly how I wanted. Like my 360 through the legs layup probably wasn't the call right there. So then next time I'll just lay it in off the glass,
And that's us though as people. I mean, like you take the chances that most people don't, and I think that's and people see, oh, Jeremy, all the stuff you do is super cool, and I'm like, I take pride in that. It's awesome. I go, but for all the things you see, there's so much shit we tried to do, products we tried to launch, programs we tried to run, or websites we literally created, spent tens of thousands of dollars on that just shit the bed. But it took those things to come up with the stuff and have everything that you see now. And I do think if there's a good thing to come out of this, and I don't. It's hard to see anybody lose their business or their dream or what they're doing because of this, because this is not something they fucked up. This isn't in their control, in my opinion. But the people who probably weren't going to be in some of these businesses in 6 months to a year anyway, now for surely won't. So it kind of thins the herd in fitness for sure. Yeah. The people who are just in it for a money grab, who, in my opinion, aren't really fitness people. Like I always say this, like I'd work for myself and make $30,000 a year before I worked for Lifetime and made $300,000. Now that's just me. Sure. Because I want to do my own shit the way that I want to do it. I don't want somebody controlling it and making me a puppet for their stuff. And I think those people like me will keep moving forward because you're doing it because you love it, not just, hey, I want this money and this and this and this. And so that's, if there's a positive, hopefully that's it.
Did you go into this saying, hey, I really want to open a gym and this is the experience that I want to have? Or is it one of those things where your career had gotten to the point where it's like, okay, this is the thing I need to do because it makes the most sense?
You know, it's hard because like I remember the day, like I have my one job, I'm like doing academic advising, which I hated. Like most people, I didn't hate it. Just like it wasn't as boring and it wasn't fun for me. I didn't get anything out of it. There's no, like if you're an athlete, right? Like you have all the juice, like you have all this shine. And then one day it's over and you're like a normal dude now applying to enterprise for a job and nobody gives a fuck about you. It sucks. And so maybe selfishly from my own ego, I needed something more fulfilling than that. And I remember sitting in the lobby of the first place we ever ran our business. And I remember sitting there just being like, you know, this would be cool. And I said, I'm like, if we could just get 100 people to believe in what we do, and I'm not talking like gross profits or net or anything. It's like just 100 people to maybe give us $100 a month and we could really help them. I go, I would be the happiest dude ever because I wouldn't hate what I was doing. I would be doing fitness and program design. And basically it's like you're coaching. Like I tell people, like, I'm just happen to be athletic and I understand movement and those things. So like I fell into this, but I'm a coach, I think, by nature, whether that would be this or cooking or something else. Like I just like this more than anything. And when I started, I'm like, can we just like, honestly, I asked myself this, I go, can I just not hate my fucking Wednesday? Literally that was the call. Like if I can just not hate a random Thursday when I have to go to work, like I think I'll be okay. And then when you start, the crazy thing I'll tell anybody, like when you like shit, and again, do I love everything we do? No, I don't. There's some things I do that are super boring and they're mundane. I hate them, but that's a business, right? For most of it, I love what I do. And when you like what you do and you start to love parts of it, it's like the work doesn't feel as much work. Like I enjoy creating and connecting in the ways that we do. And then it just kind of blew up and grew from there. So no, I didn't plan most of this shit. I was just like, I just don't want to hate my life every day.
Yeah, I resonate with that so much. My always thing is like, I never want to be excited for a Friday. Like I never want to be 19-year-old Jay Scott bashing my head through a wall because of 20 beers on a Friday because I hated Monday and Thursday so damn bad.
So if someone was thinking about that, thinking about absent the situation we're in right now, if someone was thinking about opening a gym on their own, what suggestions would you have for them?
I mean, we did a podcast called Owning a Gym Sucks, so that's where I'm going to come from right off the bat, as I've owned one for 12 years or so. There's a kid. I got some young kids that work for us, and some other people we've connected with who have asked the same question. And I spoke to a group not that long ago of college kids, same kind of thing. Like any business, to me, when you start, you're everything. So you're the owner, you're the manager, you're the technician. If you follow the E-Myth kind of protocols, you basically are everything. You're the accountant, you're the fucking janitor, you're all the stuff. I would say anybody keep it small, for sure. The lower your overhead, the better off you're going to be, especially like i.e. shit like this pops off. Like, can you survive? I think a lot of people want to be, they might walk in here and see this and say, oh my God, you own this. You bought this building in Scottsdale, which is not cheap. We gutted the whole thing. It looks beautiful. My wife designed like all the foo-foo fancy shit in the lobby. The rest of it is all, my stuff. But that took 10 years plus of me working 100 hours a week and being this person with all the connections and all the things I had to be able to do that. And if you're 24 years old and you see that, that's probably not realistic unless you're going to finance up the ass for it. And I would never tell someone to go into debt to do this. I would say work your way into it. And over time, you slowly add pieces to the business, whether that be, equipment or staff or different protocols. So it's a super small scale. And if you're getting into it just to make money, I would say do something else. Like, not that you can't. Now in fitness, you can make what I consider like decent money, but if I was this good at finance, I'd have tens of millions of dollars now. Like it wouldn't even be close to where I am today because that industry is worth so much more exponentially than fitness is. So if you do it because you love it and you like just being around people or you like coaching people or you enjoy it, just say, you know what, I'm going to start small. I don't care if I work 100 hours a week for, $25,000 this year. That's how I would approach them, the pureness of it, and just not taking on and chewing on way more than you're ready for.
That makes a lot of sense.
How do you have a lot of businesses. Again, you've written books, you podcasts, you do tons of content all over Instagram, plus your online business, plus your in-person business. How do you not necessarily manage, but how do you choose and like pull the trigger on what's next? Right, so I don't even know where you started, but I know writing was some of the beginning and coaching in person was some of the beginning, and then you moved to online stuff, podcasts. Like, how do you know, like, all right, like, this is a great idea, I'm going to pull the trigger on this thing?
I mean, at first, like, we didn't. Like, we would try. Like, you kind of see, again, the cool thing is now it's like I'm friends with all these people in fitness, so it's like if I got a question, like, I can say, hey, BJ, what are you doing for this? Or, like, if I have a question about Instagram, like Alexio sent me like a 15-page fucking document about what she's doing on Instagram. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I can see some of the trends and communicate with those people. But in the beginning, we just tried a lot of stuff, like kind of like you, where it's like, I'll spend $5,000 on this or $10,000 on this. And if it works, cool. And if it shits the bed, what can I learn from it when we do it? Now I try not to hemorrhage that much money on fuck ups, but if I'm going to fail, I try to do it fast. And the cool thing is I got an awesome team of people here that can help, facilitate some of the stuff either I don't want to do or that I'm not really great at. And for everything we do, like I don't use social media like a normal person, right? Like I'll see your stuff, once in a while, like the lifting or the comical shit I might notice. But typically when
Tell me I'm funny, Jay Scott. Tell me I'm funny.
Yeah.
Just build my ego a little bit, buddy.
It's whatever you did the other day was like you and some fucking that Jumanji post. That was great. I'm like, look at this shit right here. Cause I just watched Jumanji like the day before, actually.
Bro, I watched it that day too. I think it was on TNT or some shit.
Oh, really?
So good. Robin Williams.
It was great. But
the real one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see some of it. But I go on, I post our stuff. I return every DM, every message, which is about 300 a day, which is super exhausting. But that hand-to-hand combat has built a huge part of our business. I look at what the consumer is doing. Like, what are they doing? What do they want? What's kind of, what do they want, but what can we give them that can help them layered in? So it's always like, sizzle and steak. We'll give you guys the sizzle, and once you're in our queue, we'll give you the steak and the real shit. So it's like, I always want to see what everyone's make decisions based off that. Like what's going to help our clients, what's going to help people who are in this age bracket and that age bracket. And I try to create any contents or programming based off that. And you can't be ahead of the trends. I just try to, like, when I see something happening, if I'm like, this seems like a good idea, I try to be early on it, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you this. You were talking about things that you tried that didn't work. Or were you able to identify like why they didn't work, or were they issues of just consumers didn't respond?
It's like both, right? Like I say it this way, like not like would I want to start over? Somebody asked me this the other day, would you want to start over if you had to go back from square one today? And I'm like, I wouldn't. And it's not like I'm not afraid of hard work. Like I'll kill myself to do it, but it would suck to have to show up and be like, hey, it's Rick Scott Fitness today. And I'm like, nobody on Instagram and YouTube and no email list and nothing. Like that would be super hard to do. So when you first start, you don't have the huge base to tap into, right? So it's like when you I remember like we created a program, spent like $6-7 grand on it. And this is like right when I got Infusionsoft, and I got all the stuff, we made the books, like all these graphics, everything was super fancy. I'm like, we're going to launch this, we're going to crush it. And I sold like 20 products the first day. And it just sat in my room and basically cry because you're like, wow, I'm a complete loser. So sometimes maybe you don't have the right demo yet. You haven't built enough trust in the community. In our reality, like sometimes you're just ahead of the trend. And I use BJ Gador as the example. He created StreamFit, which I always thought was amazing. I had our coaches watch it. I've known BJ for, well over 10 years. Basically what he's doing now, which he's crushing it with, was now he's a little bit, eccentric and crazy.
Yeah, what the hell's that guy wearing? I can't go on Instagram because I'm afraid I'm about to see his man parts pop out of his shorts.
Yeah, so like, now he's not under the corporate veil, so he can be really BJ. But before, it would be like he had the professional version of what his site was, and it didn't take off because it was too early, if that makes sense. So if you're doing, like, if you're podcasting 15 years ago, you're Tom Green. Yeah. Nobody knows what the hell you're doing. So sometimes either we're too early, or we didn't have the right offering, or we just hadn't built trust yet in the community for people to be like, hey, we're going to give this guy some money. And that's to anybody listening. If you're going to sell a product or a service and you're trying to ask somebody in fucking Indiana who's never met you, never talked to you, never seen you to give you $200, that's a really hard sell, man. Because you have to ask yourself, when's the last time that you personally gave somebody $200 that you don't have any relationship with? It's tough to do.
Yeah, it's hard. And that's a cool thing of the social media and kind of what you talked about. Like, I am starting over. Like, I started Twitch out of nowhere, which is all gaming.
Yeah.
And I told my Twitch chat, I was like, you guys are absolutely done for when I get 1,000 people watching me in here, because I'm not going to stop streaming. I'm going to stream every single day. It's so much fun when you get interactions, and all those 300 DMs probably tires your little thumbs out. Like, the interaction is what it's about, and you teaching someone, like you said, I think a lot of us are like coaches or presenters or entertainers at our core. We just have fitness as kind of our shuttle here. But I'm like, I can't imagine doing Instagram now and no one caring that I made a funny Jumanji joke. Like, that'd be such a sad world. Or like not be able to, like make somebody laugh or somebody listen to. I'm like, and that's what I'm doing right now on Twitch. Like, I've had days there's like 5 people in there and they're probably all robots and nobody's watching. I'm like, shit. Wait, now I'm just a loser playing video games all day.
I think, well, part of what we do is entertainment, obviously, and entertainment is a very hit and miss world. I mean, somebody can be a very successful, say, producer of television or whatever, and they have one show that's super hot, and they say, "Oh, I have another idea for another show. I'm gonna launch this show," and it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And there's just no guarantee.
Well, and especially like podcasts. Like, I don't know. I don't really listen to them per se, but like your podcast, Jay Scott, if you just went into details of fitness on your podcast, which I've listened to some of bits of yours. I haven't listened to the whole thing. I ain't going to lie, but I don't listen to anyone's. I haven't listened to my podcast, and I've done it for 10 years. But like then it would turn into a lecture. And no one's going to listen to that. No one wants to listen to an audio lecture, right? Like, it is entertainment at core. And even Instagram, like, you're not just going to sit there and like stand there and tell them like, you're going to put your left knee over the midfoot of your left ankle while you're doing it. But like, no one's going to do that. There is a creation to it, and that's the talent. And luckily, for the most part, I am a little jaded. For the most part, the cream does rise to the top. I think a lot of times in the world we live in, and cream doesn't necessarily always mean talent or hard work, but it's kind of the things you explain, where you're paying attention to what's going on. You're not piggybacking off stuff. You're trying to see trends. You're trying to see where you fit into those trends, and if necessary, that trend or that style of content fits into who you are and what you do.
Well, yeah, and every platform is different. Like, obviously Instagram is this visual platform, like with a podcast or audio base. And if I only, and again, like, to be honest with you, like, we've done hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, which is not the most popular thing we do, which is crazy because most of the time it's just me rambling on. And the ones that do sometimes the best are like just the more fitness based ones, which to me are the most boring to do. Now, I'll always share a story of my personal stuff, but me talking about intermittent fasting, like, I'd rather, swallow wet gravel. Like, it's fucking terrible because I've done it for so long. Like, I don't want to say the same shit over and over and over, but if it helps people, I'm happy to do it. So I try to add in a story, like, here's how we personally do it. Here's how I fucked up different things. But every medium you try to, like, okay, what works best? Because again, there's a lot of friends that we have in fitness who are good. They're good at what they do. They just can't. They're not great on these platforms.
Yeah.
And if you can't exist in these platforms, it's almost like you're irrelevant, which really sucks. And not that the numbers are everything. I'm not a huge like, oh, you have 1 million followers, you have 100,000. To me, it's the depth of it more than the width of it. So if you can get people to really resonate with what you're doing and you're helping them, that's why, we create the things we do, whether that is to, educate them or to entertain them across the board. But yeah, to your point, it would be tough. That's why I say the rich get richer, right? Like, it's my oxygen now. Like, if we posted something and one person watched it, I wouldn't post as often because I'm like, I don't need to see myself work out. I know what the fuck I look like. Like, I know how to exercise. I'm doing it for the rest of the world. If they engage in that and it helps them, then we'll keep doing it.
How do you balance some of that stuff? You talked about, like, because I struggle with it too. Like, my YouTube is a lot of educational based stuff, but like, man, if I had amount of dollars, the amount of times I've taught a deadlift, I wouldn't work anymore. Like, I want to help people and I want to entertain people, but I don't necessarily want to tell you how to deadlift 500 pounds again. Like, that shit is weighed out, but it's the cream of what we do, and there are new ears hearing it. You know what I mean? So how do you balance some of that? And again, being a business owner, man, I can't relate more. Like, I don't know the percentage, but there is a lot of stuff you have to do that you don't like. And it doesn't matter who you hire. I still have to do my own taxes at the end of the day. My accountant's going to do some stuff, but I got to give him the paperwork. Like, that stuff sucks. How do you balance on what you truly, truly enjoy and then also kind of what makes the engine go?
Like, we always do like big rocks, little rocks here for the most part. Now, obviously, the people who are with us, I try not to make them do all this shit that they hate, because I don't want them to hate being here. But at the end of the day, like, there's just stuff that they have to do to make the machine run. So I'll be like, okay, here's what I have to do. Like, this is what makes the actual machine go. And then I sprinkle in the stuff that I like to do, which, again, if you love it enough, I don't feel like I'm working. So it's like they're like my enjoyment thing. So like, yeah, that might be someone's free time, but that's when I podcast or that's when I write. So I have to sprinkle those in. But understanding, like, in the model, like, even that content, it does make money. It does keep the machine running, just not in the technical sense that we think. So I kind of schedule my week out. Like, if I do like food logs, right? Like, to be honest with you, like, that's probably the thing I hate more than anything. Like, we review what people eat, and to see what Cindy ate on a random Wednesday is like the most boring fucking thing in the world. I go, but it helps her more than almost anything. So every Sunday I get up early and I do all the nutrition logs before I lose interest, before I lose motivation. So I schedule my day around that stuff, because I know I can always hop on the podcast and rip it, or if something like pissed me off or is important to me, I can speak on it, I can write about it, I can talk about it almost any time. So I try to do it that way, almost like you would do your work day. Like, the shit that you don't really like, just, you got to chop. And then just honestly, just like what I call like being an adult. Like, you have to, track your P&L sheets. You have to get your taxes ready so your CPA knows what the hell is going on. Like, that shit, you just swallow it, man. Like, it's just part of being an adult, which isn't fun, but a necessary evil.
Yeah, that's what my coach said. Do your job. You're the fucking rebounder. Do your job, bro. I don't care if you want to score 30, bro. You got a whack jump shot. Go grab a rebound, kiddo. Little Timmy.
Well, one of the things that you hit on was like the basic information. Like, unfortunately, I think that after years and years of doing this now, you just can't be too basic because there's always an influx of new people, and we are all sick to death of the basics. But unless you keep presenting the basics and trying to come up with a good like stew of different ingredients than you used before, like, you're not gonna continue to grow with people who are just coming into fitness, into weight loss, into exercise, whatever.
And something Jay Scott's done really good, I think, with the basics and general stuff is that's the biggest crowd. Whether you want to look at that from helping the most people or a business standpoint, if I go into the absolute details of the function of the erectors in the block pole, no one, that's such a niche that's actually going to care or actually use that. One, no one cares. The nerds care, and then two, like, who's actually going to use that is so small. But if you're teaching someone, the habits of how to eat well for the rest of your life, hopefully that's everyone cares a little bit.
Well, yeah, when we talk, even here we instruct, and sometimes it'll come out in the video. It's because, again, this is what we do. Studied this, and I've lived it every day for 15 plus years. We don't say supinate, pronate here. We say palms up, palms down.
Right.
It's very basic. When we teach a squat for people, push through your heels, back straight, chest out, the most basic concepts ever. Like, even when we do deadlifting, we just call it like a hip hinge. Like, we just try to get them to think in basic movement pattern terms. And we leave the rest of it because they don't give a shit.
Yeah,
they just want to come here. They want to make sure they like the music, that they're safe, and that they have fun, and they can get out of here and not be hurt. And so I can choose to give them whatever it is, but I'm like, does it really matter if Roger knows the actual movement patterns and how a split squat works? It really isn't. As long as he's doing it safely. And again, that's why we teach low barrier entry exercises. We're not teaching overhead snatches at fucking scale to a group, because I don't think it's safe, and I'm not skilled enough to do that with 30 people. I don't know if anybody is.
Yeah.
So if we can get them to live healthier and happier, that's what we try to do, and have them understand. Like, and again, even with Instagram, people will say, "Oh man, I like the stuff you share, dude. It's super fun, and it's the basics." And I'm like, those are way sexier than my normal workouts. Like what I just went through today, the most basic stuff ever: bench press, dips, pull-ups, overhead press, throw some curls and some face pulls in, push-ups, call it a day.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most boring. And people are like, why don't you share them? Like, because it's the most boring shit ever. Like, you're going to watch me do straight sets of bodybuilding bench press? No, it sucks.
Dude,
that's
that so
builds
true.
the foundation. Like, if you can't do that, though, you can't do all this other shit that we share and talk about. So for everybody, it's like, once you build a base, then you can go crazy. It's like, you have to learn how to shoot a layup first before you can do any behind the back reverse stuff. It's the 1-2 step basics for most people.
Yeah, everyone's like, Mike, you just stop benching? You haven't posted a bench video. I'm like, you want to see me bench press? I just don't film it, bro. That's just fucking boring as shit.
What changed from the first 45 videos you posted? There might be some idiosyncrasy, and even if you did it, dude, and I probably wouldn't even notice. And if you said something like, "Oh yeah, now I can tell," I don't give a shit.
No
I'm
one
not going to
cares.
change what I do. I'm going to still. I've been deadlifting for 20 years probably. Like it really hasn't changed a lot in 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild. And like you said, like a big pet peeve of mine is there's a difference between being like a professor and like in an educational standpoint and like being a coach or what we do. Like guys that are throwing around all these anatomical terms are literally just stroking their own ego. Like no one are you taking a complex, something very complex and applying it when and how you need to. Like that's what coaching is, and that's what life is.
Yeah.
Like even I don't even know because I'm stupid, but like some economics major or something saying all this mess. But if I'm just asking them, hey man, what stock should I throw some cash in?
Mm-hmm.
Like now you're just wasting all our time, and you're literally just stroking your own educational ego. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself or me.
I think that there's a personality type that likes to hear their own voice say big words.
Yeah.
I think that
I hate hearing my own voice. I haven't listened to my own podcast in 10 years.
we've been doing this since 2013. Mike never listens, so
Not once.
I like it, man. I like that.
Jay Scott, what's next, man? So you obviously we have all this mess going on. I know you guys like to travel a little bit. You're obviously staying in good shape. Did you have anything on the horizon, or do you have anything on the horizon still going on once this bullshit settles?
You know, like I don't know what like we just kind of take it day by day, man. Like wait to see like what the deal is. Even if like again we don't know here. I think our order is until the end of the month, but I'm assuming they're going to extend it. We haven't heard anything. Even if they said, hey, you can come back to work like on Monday, like we wouldn't. I probably would take a couple weeks to make sure our stuff is all set up right and our people are right. And we have a lot of doctors here. Some CFOs of hospitals we can kind of soundboard off of to keep their standpoint. So that's how we'll navigate this. And again, it'll be weird. I don't think everyone will sprint back to the gym. It won't look the same. That part of it is strange for me. There's part of me where like, as this was going on, because we've been closed down for like 50 some days now, I was just like, do I just, say fuck it and just be on the internet all the time now and just have this super dope ass place to myself, which seems super selfish, but would be super cool too. But I do like the community and the people. So like, I want to keep it going for them if they want to be here. And people need an outlet, even if it's not like, and I know like when we say gym, like we're not a mountainside, we're not a Lifetime. It's not that. We maybe see 70 people in a day, almost all of them know each other. So it's very family based, but they need that social outlet because people are going to go fucking crazy. So we are planning the steps of that. Our next online program kicks off in like 12 days. And we have a couple others that we've created actually like a year ago. Now, this is a blessing where we've had the time to put those together. But I had like some speaking events and some other engagements with some of the resorts around here in, California. And I don't know when those are postponed till, when those kick off. And honestly, like we had just paid off our house, crazy enough, a month before all this shit happened. And, which is a blessing, I guess. And I had planned like, okay, this is the year when, because I've given up my life for a lot of this, right? And this is the year I'm going to actually like, I'm going to fly to Minneapolis. Me and my best friend are going to go to a Twins game. We're going to have some beers. I'm going to buy him Vikings. I'm going to do all these awesome things with friends and things. And now it's like, does that shit even happen? So I tentatively have it planned, but I'm like, who knows if that shit will go on. So I just try to take it day by day and understand like, hey, this sucks shit for me. Like we're not going to make the same money. Things aren't going to go the way that I want them to. But if I'm still in this position to not be as stressed and not be as worried and be in the same shitty boat as other people, I can just take this time to pump out as much quality free stuff as we can and help our business keep growing on the back end where, if that's my only choice, I'm in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I think it is going to be interesting. I keep referencing this article I read about a streetwear company that has a satellite store, and I don't quote me, but in Hong Kong, somewhere overseas. And when the lockdown was lifted, they had record sales, and I think similar things are going to happen here. It's going to go one or the other way. In my head, I think people are going to creep out slow because that's probably what I would do, kind of like you said. Like if it lifts up, you're probably going to give it a week, feel it out. That's how my head works, personally and business-wise. But I do sadly think a lot of people are so fed up, they're just going to kick down their freaking front door and go ape shit, go to the gym and go to a movie and mini golf and all in the same day. So I don't know. It will be interesting to see. I look at everything, the social media, podcasting, obviously what's happening right now, it's just a bunch of little mini sociology experiments, like to see how weird humans act, because it's just mob mentality and how the tribe, like the protests. We had a bunch of protests here, and just some of that cracks me up. And we don't have to get into politics or anything on this, but like some of them think Corona is fake, and then there's people out front with no masks on, and they're like linking arms, because they're trying to make this statement. But then there's a couple people with like masks on protesting with these people but they're like hiding by themselves. I'm like, so is it fake, or like, are you scared? Like, what are you doing right now?
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
It's like, I don't believe in God, but I'm going to pray right now just in case.
It's kind of like that, which is fine. Whatever you need to do to figure out your stress. But humans crack me up, man. Humans crack me up.
When do they tell you guys you're free to do your stuff, or don't they tell you yet?
We have no idea, man. These are the only people I've seen right here. I got the 2 roommates in gym. I didn't see my mom for I think 5 weeks. I was just, she's not old and she's pretty healthy. I mean, she's not young, but she's 60 and she's healthy. But I'm like, man, what if I do have it? Like, I'm not about to give that to my mom. Then last week, she made us a dinner. She has a huge table in the backyard, and so we had a lunch outside in the backyard with the dogs. And she's like 10 feet away from me, all awkward. But like, I was like, she lives by herself. Like, that's her situation is way worse than mine. We don't know. I think the official is the 30th. But I'm like you.
But there's no real release date set.
Yeah, the official is the 30th, but I'm sure they're gonna probably extend it. And I don't know. Yeah, a bunch of projects on pause. Me and Jim are running, and like you, just day by day, I play video games, podcast, give out some free content, try to stay positive and not get fatter.
What's your square footage in your gym, just by the way? If you said it earlier, I missed it.
It's about 3,000 square feet. So most of it is workable space. Honestly, like, we bought this. Our lease was coming up at our old place, which was getting super expensive because Scottsdale now is not cheap at all.
Yeah.
And long story short, I was like, okay, maybe I'll lease another space. But then it was like, when you run the numbers, I'm like, it's a shit ton of money. I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe I'll just be online. And then this one came up, and I'm like, well, real estate isn't going to get any cheaper here. I'm like, we can make this work. So it used to be like an appetizer store, funny enough. So this was like one big refrigerator, basically.
Interesting.
And just came in, blew up the walls, gutted the whole thing, and now we have it. So in most of our groups, like when we run them, you're talking like between probably 8 and 20 people max. So we can do our shit if they let us do it, and if our people are cool with it. That's going to be the key. Like, do our people feel comfortable doing it, and what are the rules? Like, I don't get you're not going to go to a gym and wear a mask. Like, that's just not I don't see that's a sustainable thing. So it'll be interesting to see what the quote unquote rules are. And again, every state's different. Like, Arizona's a little bit more like we're the Wild West out here. Some people here don't give a fuck, but
there's a couple states. I think phase 1 includes gyms. Phase was of reopening.
I think Georgia's one.
Georgia, I believe Kansas. So, and I get it, because the whole thing, again, going to like sociology, like our government too, whether you love them, hate them, I don't really care about politics, but like they are thinking about humans. They know people are inside unhealthy physically and being kept up. Like, they need to move. Like, humans are made to move, and so they understand some of that. So I hopefully majority of them take it into account with the rollout. But who knows, man? It's weird times.
Well, on that note, where can people find you?
Plug away, Jay Scott.
It's all the same. I mean, it's all the same shit. I wasn't when you start this in like 2005, you don't understand what it's going to be, and I never would have called it my name if I knew it would turn out to be this. But just JeremyScottFitness.com, and then Instagram is Jeremy Scott Fitness, YouTube is Jeremy Scott Fitness, Facebook is Jeremy Scott Fitness, it's the Jeremy Scott Fitness podcast, and everything else. So if you guys message us, we will get back to you probably in like a day and a half. I return every message on Instagram personally, and the rest of them, if our team can't answer it quickly, then it comes to me, and I hit you guys back. And again, I don't know anybody who puts out more free shit like across the board than we do on all the platforms. And again, we just try to do and give the things that are going to, help the average person just be, healthier and happier, throughout life.
I appreciate you, man. I know I've been saying it I've probably known you like 5-6 years now, and I know keep saying I'm going to head to Arizona, but I promise when this mess is over, I'm going to fly down there. We're going to go pick up D-Jack, hit some golf balls, maybe lift some weights, maybe play some basketball, buddy.
Oh, 100%, dude. You're so, again, like there's a lot of, like I put off a lot of shit the last couple of years to like build this up and do what we have to do. And we always get busy. And like one thing I said to myself, I'm like, once this shit is done and we're like normal-ish, basically, I'm like, I got money. I can do whatever the fuck. I'm like, I'm going to actually do the shit that I couldn't have done in the building process of this. And if you're here, I mean, like shit, D-Jack is here for sure. Fuck, Alexia is like a mile and a half down the street from me.
That's dope.
So I'm like, yeah, so we can all get together and it'll be tight, bro.
Game on, man. Game on, dude. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, buddy. I hope you're well. I hope you guys stay safe, and I hope this mess clears up for you all.
You got it, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Keep doing your thing.
Dope. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to give us a rating and review. iTunes, every Wednesday, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to it. I'm Silent Mike, 2Ks, Instagram, Twitter.
I am at DJ McD on all the social medias. Follow the show on Instagram. We are 50% Facts, where percent is a word and 50 is numbers, and you can find all the episodes on the website with that same number letter combination, 50% Facts.